Throughout the centuries, humans have learned to live with the seasons, to face famine, and to secure their food for harder days. In a world without refrigerators or freezers, survival depended on ingenuity and patience in preserving food. Today, we will travel back in time to explore ancient methods of food preservation, from drying fruits under the blazing sun to roasting grains and salting meat. These simple yet ingenious techniques show just how creative people were in the past. One of the oldest methods of preservation is drying. Fruits, vegetables, herbs, and meat were exposed to the sun or a controlled heat source, removing moisture and preventing bacterial growth. In ancient Egypt, dates and grapes were left to dry on wooden trays, transforming into natural sweets, a true luxury for the nobility. In Asia, thin slices of fish and meat were left to dry in the wind, under carefully controlled conditions, preserving their taste and nutritional value for months. Drying not only prevented spoilage, but also concentrated flavors. Dried fruits became sweeter, herbs retained their intense aroma, and meat gained a firm, savory texture. In the absence of refrigeration, drying was simply essential. Another traditional method is roasting and smoking. Before being consumed, grains were roasted to remove moisture and protect against mold. In European tribes and the Near East, people roasted wheat, millet, or barley over open fires, creating what we would today call toasted grains. This technique allowed them to be stored in cloth sacks or barrels for several months, ready to be ground into flour or used in porridge. Roasting grains was more than just preservation. The heat activated enzymes and enhanced the grain's flavor, making them more delicious and digestible. Salting is perhaps the most well-known traditional preservation method. Salt draws moisture from meat and fish, creating an environment where bacteria cannot survive. In ancient civilizations, from Rome to China, salting food was common practice. Fish was cleaned, sprinkled with salt, and left to dry in the sun or in cool cellars. Meat was cut into large pieces, heavily salted, and stored in barrels. This allowed people to travel or survive the winter without worrying about food. Salt, besides preserving, also added a unique flavor. In some cultures, salted meat became a symbol of hospitality and prosperity. Another ancient technique is pickling, using a combination of salt and water, sometimes with vinegar or spices. People transformed vegetables and fruits into supplies that could last for months. Cabbage, cucumbers, carrots, or beets were cut and submerged in brine, where they fermented slowly. During fermentation, beneficial bacteria consumed natural sugars, preventing harmful microorganisms from developing. The result? Foods rich in vitamins, with a pleasantly tangy taste and long shelf life. Fermentation was also an art. Recipes were passed down through generations, and every family had its own secret for perfect pickles. Beyond these methods, people also used special storage techniques. Fruits were coated in wax, fat, or even ash to protect them from air and moisture. Root vegetables like carrots and turnips were kept in clean sand in cool cellars. In cold regions, food was buried in the ground or placed in pits covered with snow, using nature as a primitive refrigerator. This ingenuity allowed them to survive long winters without shortages. Through drying, roasting, salting, pickling, and ingenious storage, people of the past transformed perishable food into long-lasting supplies. Each method reflected their creativity, patience, and adaptability. Today, even though we have refrigerators and freezers, these techniques remind us that food is not just sustenance, but a connection between humans and nature, between the past and the present. In a way, every toasted slice of bread, every tangy pickle, and every dried fruit we enjoy carries the labor and wisdom of generations who knew how to preserve the flavor of life. This is the art of preserving flavor, an ancient lesson still relevant today.